If Trump does it, it's wrong. This time,
Yes.
Trump is not wrong. Seth Meyers is agreeing with Donald Trump on the issue of Israel. When that happens, and what we're seeing with Gen Z, plus, didn't Charlie Kirk do like some sit down with Gen Z guys about Jews? And I think the narrative is there.
Yeah. No.
This country is. We looked at the Pew Research data. The key demo is anti-Israel, left and right. Mm-hmm. And now Trump is actually seeing Seth Meyers agree with him.
Yeah. I think where Trump is right now, which I totally understand, is he is seriously pro-Israel, but he's also very frustrated with Netanyahu, which I think is totally understandable and justifiable at this point, right? That Netanyahu has been, at best, a difficult ally lately. And I think that's why Trump is where he is. Now, what you're talking about, though, Tim, with Gen Z is, they're not where Trump is. They're actively anti-Israel. It's an entirely different point of view and worldview. And I do think, look, if I were Israel, I'd be concerned about this because the United States is obviously its most key ally. And when you look at young Americans, they are very disaffected with Israel right now. And I think people like Netanyahu need to ask themselves why and how could they try to change that, because they're not only trying to please their own people, but also the United States.
Yeah, I mean, look, Israel has done really poorly when it comes to the narrative, the online narrative kind of, whatever you want to call it, about the Gaza war or the situation in Gaza. I personally don't put a lot of credibility in things that are coming out of Gaza because I don't trust Hamas, and Hamas is still the authority in Gaza. But Israel is definitely, flattened cities in Gaza. So if you're going to initiate a war like that, you have to be prepared to produce propaganda that supports your position. And Israel has not done that. They've really dropped the ball on that. What do you got to say there, Elad? Come on. I know what you're thinking.
I think despite media narratives and media spins and Hamas and fake news coming out of Hamas, that the Israelis should not be dissuaded from finishing the job in Gaza.
What does it have to do without our money?
With or without our money, I think.
Agreed.
Israel needs to finish the job.
And they'll have to do it without our money. That's the point.
Well, right now they're doing it with our support.
And I'm saying my point is that it's gone. I don't see how this sustains itself when Pew Research puts out this data showing 53% of people in the United States have a negative view of Israel. And it is so, I don't know what the right is. It is so extreme that Seth Meyers has said Trump is right. Mm-hmm. Like when you get liberal late night talk shows being like, wait, Trump's actually right about this. It's like, wow, holy crap.
So, like, if the difference is, good media coverage and your state constantly being at risk and bad media coverage and security for your state, I think Israelis should pick the latter. It seems as though...
Agreed, and then we stop paying for it. Because when the American people, when the sentiment continues to spoil, this is the point, right? When the sentiment continually goes negative, members of Congress are going to be like, I'm not going to be on their side. I'm going to get blasted in my meetings. So I'll just come out against them. Then when it comes for the vote, look at AOC. She voted to provide defensive funding for Israel, and they attacked her for it. So we are getting very, very close in the next few years to U.S. Congress being like, we are no longer going to risk our seats in Congress for supporting a foreign country.
I may submit to you that may be true. I think polling on this is fickle. I think we're being manipulated by false images that, for example, the New York Times even came out today and described some of their images as being incorrect or putting them up with misleading information about it. But I think Israel should continue fighting its battles despite that. I think there's been a long history.
I hear you, but you're not addressing what we're talking about.
No, I am. I said despite.
The question of whether or not Israel should or shouldn't do something is not the subject.
I think they should do things despite the bad media coverage that they're getting. You're saying that they're losing support in the United States.
My point is that it is now the popular mainstream narrative in the United States that Israel bad.
I don't think that's as true as people in the media will like
it's there.
you to believe.
I'm not making this up. Pew Research, 53% negative view of Israel and getting worse to the point where Seth Meyers is agreeing with Donald Trump. You then changing the subject to Israel should continue this war has nothing to do with the content.
No, so despite despite it becoming increasingly partisan of an issue, I think the Israelis should continue to finish their work in Gaza.
In which case, if your argument is that they're putting up fake images or whatever it may be, that means just Israel's losing.
I just don't think that the Israeli government should be swayed by bad media coverage.
Let me ask you this, because I fully agree that Israel should do whatever it thinks it needs to do in its national security and its defense of its citizens, right? Absolutely. But the state of Israel has now existed, the modern state of Israel, for 80 years. Should it continue to receive benefits and aid from the United States when the average Israeli lives better than the average American right now? This is a sophisticated, wealthy country. Aren't they capable now of standing on their own 2 feet and handling their own security without American charity, essentially?
So I'll answer that in a very honest way.
Yeah.
So for the past 40 some odd years, we have been significantly supporting the state of Israel, but it's existed the 40 years prior to that without our support, actually, from originally support from the USSR. And I will say, I will push back against the Israelis are living better than us Americans. We don't have socialized healthcare in America because socialized healthcare is actually bad for people. People don't get good coverage through their socialized medicine. People in Israel, I know we like to say that we don't want, wait, if I can finish,
sure.
We don't want Americans dying in Israel. I know you didn't say that, but that's a common sentiment. I feel like it's so ironic given it's one of our only allies that actually has a military draft and actually routinely fights their own battle. People in the military, the Navy, in the Army in the United States actually respect that of Israelis, that they actually do fight their own wars. So we give benefits to a lot of different countries, and I think people tend to single out Israel for one reason or another. We currently have 30 some odd Americans sitting as cannon fodder right now in South Korea. Their sole purpose is there to be cannon fodder. The same thing in Germany.
By the way,
I don't know. Why should we go down
both those countries? Yeah, absolutely.
No, I mean, well, I just respond to that by saying I think Americans benefit immensely from both soft and hard power. We are the global shot callers, and it's to the benefit of Americans. And I feel like it really embodies the American spirit, too. I think American hegemony is good, and if American hegemony retracts, it's going to be other communist Chinese influences or Russian influences or Islamist influences that fills the gap, is my wider perspective.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.